Hello everybody and welcome back. This is a direct continuation from the last video, part 3. So if you haven't seen that, make sure you watch that one before you watch this one. Enjoy. So now that we have that, let's create an action that will start the game. So when we start the game, we want to draw 5 cards without us having to click the deck. So in order to do that, we're going to go to our player object. And in that player object, we're going to call an alarm again. So the alarms for the object player will be different from the alarms we created in the object card. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a new alarm. And this will only happen whenever we start the game, even though the way that we're writing it, we can do it as many times as we want. So in this alarm, it's going to say if our hand count is less than 5, because we want to start with 5 cards. If you want to start with more, change that number. We want to draw a card. And then we're going to initiate the same alarm over and over again, and it will stop whenever your hand count is greater than 5. So now to start this event, or to start this action, we're going to create a step event. And we're going to create a keyboard action. So if keyboard check pressed, we're going to go VK enter. If alarm 0 is equal to -1, so if this alarm is not in the process of computing, alarm 0 is equal to 1. So we just want to start it immediately. So we set this alarm equal to 1 and we set this alarm equal to 5. That's because we want to wait 5 frames before we draw another card, just so it doesn't look like all the cards are being drawn at one time. So if you wanted to create a longer pause before drawing another card, increase this number. So let's see what that looks like. So now if I press the enter button, it drew 1 card. I don't know why it only drew 1 card. Oh, that's because I chose the wrong alarm. So I needed to put alarm 0 because this is alarm 0. So let's reload that one. And press enter. Now we have 5 cards. And if I press enter again, it will not draw any more cards. So if I press escape, it's going to go back to the beginning. If I press enter again, we drew 5 cards. But now in Pokemon, the first thing that's drawn isn't your hand, it's actually your prize cards. So what we're going to do is we're going to create another object for the prize card so that we can draw the prize card first and then draw our hand. So let's create a new object for our card prize. So in objects, I'm going to create new object. I'm going to name it object prize card. I'm going to set the sprite to the card back, and I'm going to create a create event. Now in that create event, I want to initialize my card width, which is 76, my card height, which is 106, my X position, my Y position, and I want to determine all of the points or all of the positions I want these cards to be. So again, I'm going to use this tool we created to find out where we want each card to be. So what I want is I want this position right here. If I draw a card, I can take it and lay it right over where I want it to be. And then if I look at the tool, it'll tell me the X and Y coordinates I would need to put it there. So I want this to be about 45 and and 424. 45 and 424. So I'm going to create variable coordinates for each prize card. So the first one will be at an X position of 45 and Y position of 424. I'm going to copy and paste this through because I want 6 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. I'm going to change this array value. I'm going to change these array values. Okay, and for the first 3, I want them to be very similar. So the next prize card, I want to be in the same position, except moved down by the length of the card height, -4 pixels. And then the one below that will be the exact same. But we've got to multiply this one by 2 because it's 2 positions down. Now, that's the variables for the first column of prize cards. For the second column of prize cards, we want that to be at about 59 by 416. So I'm going to change this to 59 and this to 416. Then I'm actually going to copy these over like this. Change this to 4 and then 5. Copy this value down and this value down. So then in the step event, we're also going to use the same movement code that we used for our hand cards. So that will move the card from being on top of the deck to its proper position. Now, we also have to make it draw itself. So that's all we will need for the prize card. But we also need to create a new script to draw a prize card. So we're going to name that script draw prize. And this is going to be very similar to the draw script. So the only condition that will make us not want to draw a prize card is if the prize count is greater than or equal to 6. So now we want to make the prize card equal the top of the deck. So we are going to create. So before we do this, we want to initialize all of the prize variables that we will use. So we're going to go back to our object player create event. Prize initialization, and we're going to create the following variables. We're going to have a prize counter. We're going to set that equal to 0. And then for I equals 0 and I is less than 6, I plus plus. So that means we're going to create 6 prize cards and 6 prize card objects. So now we're going to go back to our script and continue this code. So we want to make our first prize card equal to whatever's on the top of the deck. And then we want to set what's on top of the deck to 0. Increment our deck pointer because we drew another card. And then we want to set our prize card object equal to an object. And we're going to set the start position at the deck X and the deck Y. We're going to make the depth equal negative prize position minus 2, so that each new prize card drawn will be above the previous prize card. And then object prize card. So now we've got to set its variables. So we're going to set a player object variable to equal object player. Prize position is going to equal player.prize count. And set the card number equal to player prize number. The X position is going to be equal to the prize X coordinate for that prize position. Same with the Y position. And then we're going to increment the player prize count. So now we have created the appropriate script. So this script will be called in the player object. So let's go back to our player object and call this function. So we're going to create another alarm that's similar to the one we created for drawing our hand. So we're going to add a new alarm. And in this one, if the prize count is less than 6, alarm 1 is equal to 5, similar to when we draw a card. Now, if the prize count is equal to 6, we're going to start our draw alarm. So what this is doing is we're going to actually change this from being alarm 0 to alarm 1 so that it will start here. It'll draw every prize card we want, or it'll draw 6 prize cards, and then once it's drawn its last one, it will begin to draw your hand. So let's see what that looks like. So if I press enter, nothing happens. Oh, nothing happens because we did not call the draw prize script. So what we're going to do is add that right here and reload the game. So now if I press enter, it appears that I have not initialized a variable called prize position, and that will be in my prize card object, or in the draw prize script. So prize position, and that's because I'm using this variable before I initialize it here. So what I want to do is change this prize position variable to prize count, and then reload my game. So now if I press enter, it will draw each prize card and it will begin to draw my hand. As you can see, my prize cards are not where I really want them to be. So if I go back and I check, this should be at around 61 and 415. And let's see where those position coordinates are here. Those are not the same. So let's update this to have better prize coordinates. So what I want to do is I want to change this value to 51 all the way down for these 3 positions. And these values to 432. And I want to change these values to 66. And these values to 427. One thing I want to do before I do that is you saw that I only drew 3 cards in my hands. So what I want to do is I want to increase my deck to draw all 5 of the cards I should start out with. So I'll do that by just adding 3 more cards, and let's reload the game. So let's press the enter button. All 6 prize cards are drawn and placed, and then all of my hand cards are drawn as well. So now if I drag this card around, you'll see that it does not cover all of the prize cards. So what I want to do is create a depth for my hand that will be larger than my prize card depth, and a negative value, of course. So what I'm going to do is in my draw script, I'm actually going to subtract this by 100 so that my prize cards will be in between 0 and 100, or my prize cards will be between 0 and negative 100, and my hand cards will be between negative 100 and negative 200. So let's reload the game. So now if I start my game, if I drag any of my hand cards they will all be above the prize cards. This is all I wanted to show for this video. In the next video, we will begin to set cards on the field. As you can see, when I set cards on the field, my hand changes. So it removes the card from my hand and adds it to the field. Also in the next video, we're going to be adding a lot more cards, and we will add every single card in the first set of the Pokemon series. So this is where things are going to start to pick up. So if you're interested in following this series, hit the subscribe button, and if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. So until next time.